Welcome to Apex Labs. Today we are going to explore one more important topic in Salesforce CPQ, and that is option constraints. So let us understand about option constraints. Option constraints help the sales rep to choose the right product for a particular quote. So suppose we want one product to be selected only when some other product has been selected. In that case, we will apply the option constraints. On the other hand, suppose there are two products and we want only either of the two products to be selected by the rep while preparing the quote. In that case also, we will use an option constraint. So for example, suppose we are working for a computer manufacturing company or a laptop manufacturing company, and suppose there are two types of operating systems which can be installed in the laptop, that is Windows and Linux. So we want the sales rep while preparing the quote to be able to select only either of the two operating system, that is either Linux or the Windows operating system. So we want our rep only to be able to select either of the two operating system, not both of them. That is, he should either be able to select the Linux operating system or the Windows operating system. So in that case, we will create an option constraint. Similarly, suppose we are configuring a laptop with Windows 11 installed in it. So in that case, suppose we have two types of office suites available as our software. So for example, we have a Microsoft Office, and second is we have LibreOffice. So suppose that for Windows only, if the laptop is being configured with Windows, then only the Microsoft Office should be selected, and if the operating system is selected as Linux, then only LibreOffice should be selected. That is, these software should be installed in the laptop. So in order to create such rules in the system so that the rep selects either of the two operating system, that is Windows or Linux, and if the user selects Windows, then we should allow the user to select Microsoft Office to be installed on the laptop, and if the user selects Linux, then only we will allow the user to select LibreOffice to be installed. So such type of configuration, this is just an example of how we can utilize option constraint, and we will also do a demo to understand how it works. So that's why with this example I want to show you how the option constraints work in Salesforce CPQ. Now in Salesforce CPQ, when it comes to option constraints, there are two types of option constraints we can create. First is dependency and the second one is exclusion. So dependency means that if one has been selected, then only the other will be allowed, whereas when it comes to exclusion, it means if you have used one product, then the other product cannot be selected. So that's why it's called an exclusion. Okay, so let's try to understand how it works. So let us in the screen you can see that I have created a product called Lenovo ThinkBook, and then we have, say, multiple product options. Let me try to show you the four important product options which we are going to explore. The first one is Windows 11, second is the Linux operating system, third is Microsoft Office, and the fourth one is LibreOffice. Now we want the rep to be able to select either of the two operating system only, that is the user should be able to select only either Windows 11 or Linux and not both. Okay, and second is that if the user has selected Windows 11, then he should be able to select Microsoft Office, and if the user has selected the Linux operating system, then he should be able to select the LibreOffice Office suite. So these two are the operating systems, and Microsoft Office and LibreOffice are the office suites which help us to prepare the documents in the device. So this is some rules which we want to apply. So that's why we have created option constraints in the system. Now, in order to understand the option constraints, let's go to the product and then I will show you how I have created the option constraints. So if you go to the related list, then you would find that I have created 3 option constraints in the system. Let's go and understand each one of them one by one. So the first one is either Windows or Linux can be the operating system. So let me edit it so that I could show you. The constraint name I have given something like either Windows or Linux can be the operating system. You can give any name you want. I have made it active and I have given a constraining option and also the constrained option. So we have constraining option and constrained option. So constraining option is the option which controls the other option. So for example, the product option 113 is now dependent on 112. So that's the one which enforces the rule to be applied. That is called the constraining option, and the option on which the rule is being applied is called as the constrained option. So that's how it works. So let's see what is the constraining option and the constrained option. So if you see P112, or better, let's go to the product, and then when we'll go to the related list, we can see the option constraint. So you can see that 112 and 113, that is the Windows 11 and Linux. So here if you see, we have these values, that is 112 is the Windows 11 and the 113 is the Linux. So that's a exclusion we have applied. So exclusion, you can see that the tip which says choose the behavior of this constraint. Dependency means inclusion is required, while exclusion means option constraint is not selected when the constraining option is, or vice versa. So if you have selected exclusion, that means either of the two product option can only be selected during the quoting process. So this is one of the option constraints which we created. Now let's understand the other type of option constraints which I have created, and that is dependency. So that means unless the product option 113 is selected, you cannot select the product option 115. So that's the constraining option, that is the product option which applies or enforces the rule, and constrained option is the one which is dependent, or the product option which is dependent on the constraining option. So that's why we have it configured like this, and the type is dependency here. So let's see what is present in 113 and 115. So if you see, 113 is the Linux and 115 is the LibreOffice. So that means if the user has selected Linux, then only the user will be able to select the LibreOffice. Similarly, I have created another option constraint which is dependent between Windows 11 and Microsoft Office. That means unless the user has selected Windows 11, he won't be able to select Microsoft Office. So in that case, Windows 11 will be the constraining option and Microsoft Office will be the constrained option. So let's see how it is there. So if we go to the option constraint, I have created another one with the name Microsoft Office should be selected with Windows 11. Now you can see the constraining option is 112. 112 is basically the Windows 11, and 114 is the Microsoft Office. So if we go here, we can easily see this, that 112 is the Windows 11 and 114 is the Microsoft Office. So there is a exclusion which dependency which we have applied. That is why Windows 11 product option is the constraining option, and 114, that is the MS Office, is the constrained option. That means unless Windows 11 has been selected, you won't be able to select the Microsoft Office. So let's try to see this in action, and we can see it with the help of a demo. Let's go to the code, and now I'll go to the code. Yeah, and now we'll click on edit lines and then add products. Now with the help of the guided selling we just created, let me click on this and ask the system to suggest, and now we got it laptop 15. That is the Lenovo ThinkBook, and now let's select it. Once we select it, now we get the product options which we can see. So now you can see that there is it says that excludes Linux and it says excludes Windows. So suppose if I select Windows 11, then you can see that the Linux is now hidden and we cannot select it. So this is the exclusion which has been applied with the help of product constraint. So this is one example, and now the other one which is based on dependency. So see, when Windows 11 I have selected, then Microsoft Office is being active and I can select it. However, LibreOffice is inactive still now. Now let's see the other way around. Once I select, suppose the Linux, then you can see that the Windows 11 has grayed out. That means we cannot select it, and an exclusion has been applied. Similarly, when I select the Linux, then LibreOffice is being active and the Microsoft Office has become deactive. So I cannot select Microsoft Office, and this is how the option constraint has worked and the exclusion has been applied. That is, if Windows 11 is selected, so let me uncheck it and then make a selection of Windows 11, then Microsoft Office becomes active. However, if I select Linux, then Windows 11 becomes deactivated and I have an option to select LibreOffice but not the Microsoft Office. So let's just try to save one of the data to the code and add it to the code line items. So let me select, suppose I want to configure the laptop with Windows. So I'll select Windows, Linux becomes deactive, and now I'll add Microsoft Office. So let me add a quantity of 1, here also 1, and now let's try to save it. So that means the product has been saved. You can see that Windows 11 has been added as well as Microsoft Office has been added. And now let's just save it. Yes. So let's now go to the code line items. And you can see in our code line item, our product Lenovo ThinkBook has been added, as well as the products Windows 11 and Microsoft Office. These software cells have also been added to our code. So this is how the option constraints work in Salesforce CPQ, and this was just the beginning of the larger product rules which are being applied on sales in the Salesforce CPQ domain. In future, we will also explore product rules and we'll understand how it is the next step of option constraint. So option constraint is also something like product rules, but product rules are an extension of multiple rules which can be applied during product selection during the quoting process. So we'll understand about that also, but I hope you got an understanding of how option constraints work in Salesforce CPQ. If you liked the video, do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.